When I was working at Templeton on the portfolio side, one of my favorite companies to own was Alaska Airlines. They have a great business, and they're historically known for their excellent service. Airline stocks are notoriously challenging to invest in. You know, you have these boom and bust cycles, and they contend with high capital costs and frequent bankruptcies, but Alaska Airlines stood out. In fact, in 2018, J.D. Power and Associates ranked Alaska Airlines as the highest ranked airline in customer satisfaction, and that was 11 years running. That level of service buys a lot of loyalty from clients and investors. And Alaska, that's a state that's known for their independent political thought, for their individual liberty. In fact, I recently met with the mayor of Anchorage in his office to discuss economic warfare and how to protect his city's citizens. It's a great airline, it's a great state. Go Alaska, right? But we have Lathan Watts here. Lathan, tell us, what's going on with Alaska Airlines?
So Alaska Airlines posted a message on their company's internal, like their intranet, basically informing all the employees for Alaska Airlines that Alaska Airlines was all in support of the Equality Act, which, if you know anything about the Equality Act, has serious concerns for religious liberty. Two flight attendants, who at the time didn't even know each other, responded to this post. And it's important to point out that when Alaska Airlines posted this message about the Equality Act, they solicited feedback from their employees. They encouraged people to comment about the Equality Act. Lacey Smith, who's one of our clients, her comment, as you said, prior to the break, she posted a question. And the question was, do you believe as a company that it's possible to regulate morality? That was it. That was her question. And she was fired for posting that question. According to Alaska Airlines, merely discussing any issue of sexuality or gender in terms of morality is in itself discriminatory. And so discriminatory it warrants her losing her job. So we have now filed two separate charges of employment discrimination with the federal EEOC against Alaska Airlines.
Well, you know, I just saw recently a quote from Albert Einstein, the smartest man that lived in modern times. And he said, question everything. Never stop asking questions. How do we get to a country where you're not even allowed to ask a question to see what the answer is?
And you know, if you look at what Alaska Airlines did, if you as a public corporation are going to wade into a controversial political subject, it's probably a good idea to solicit feedback from your employees. A company that big, with that many employees, you are bound to have disagreement within the company. But if you do, you can't fire people for giving you feedback you don't like. And that's what they did. And honestly, probably the time to solicit feedback would have been before you made a political statement. Take some feedback from your employees. But that's not what they did. They had already decided they were going to support the Equality Act, and they just told the company, we're all in support of the Equality Act, give us your feedback. Our two clients did. They didn't like the feedback they got. Our clients, the feedback they provided was based on their religious beliefs on these issues, which is why they're concerned about the Equality Act, and they fired them.
But the feedback was in the form of a question.
Right.
But to your point, if the feedback had been not in the form of a question and said, hey, I think you're violating religious rights, they have the right to do that too, don't they?
Certainly. I mean, you do not shed the right to live according to what your beliefs are when you walk into your employer's campus, when you walk into your job. It's not the exact same as, say, like a First Amendment claim when you're dealing with the government, but you still have rights in the workplace. And these two flight attendants were just providing the feedback that they thought the company asked for, and were fired for it. And you can't do that. That's why we filed these charges with the EEOC, and now we'll have to wait for the EEOC to conduct their investigation and determine how to deal with Alaska Airlines.